channel. My name is Celina, for those of you that are new. For those of you that are returning, what's up, what's good, what's poppin'? Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so this is gonna be my official birthing story, induction story. If you have not seen my labor and delivery vlog, go ahead and check it out after this. I showed y'all the whole thing, okay? So anyways, let's just get started. I was induced. Getting induced for me honestly was a little nerve-wracking, just because of all of the bad induction stories that I saw on YouTube and TikTok. Even though I tried my best to stay off of looking at birthing videos and induction videos during my pregnancy, I still came across some. So I was really nervous about getting induced in specific induction methods. But yeah, so I ended up getting induced. Anyways, I had to get induced at 39 weeks because pretty much the placenta stopped giving nutrients to my baby, and he was smaller, I guess, compared to a lot of the babies, you know, the percentile and things like that. So I was seeing a high-risk doctor simply because, if you guys don't know, I did have weight loss surgery in 2021. So they wanted to make sure that the baby, this wasn't gonna happen, that the baby was getting nutrients, growing, you know, at its correct rate and things like that. So it was real good that I had a high-risk doctor, and then I had my regular OB as well, who was gonna be delivering my baby. So I would go see my high-risk doctor towards the end of my pregnancy every 2 weeks. So when I saw my high-risk doctor, I believe I was 35 weeks, and she was looking at my baby's growth, and she was like, I'm not liking this, pretty much, because he was on the smaller side. And honestly, what she was measuring as far as his stomach goes, his stomach was like kind of getting smaller. So I was like, okay. She was like, she was like, I don't feel comfortable with you going over 39 weeks. And I was like, okay. Now I had to get induced, or else I'm gonna have to, you know, get this baby moving. Now around that time I was feeling like a little crampy and things like that, but I never got a cervix check during this time, so I was not sure of what I was dilated. And then I went to my regular OB's office when I was 36 weeks. So actually that same week, so 35 weeks, I went to my regular OB like literally the next day, and they asked me what I wanted, when I wanted to get induced. And honestly, I told them I don't want to get induced, but I'm gonna have to get induced most likely. So at first they had my induction date set for 41 weeks. Based off of when I went back to the high-risk doctor a week later, she was like, yeah, no, that gotta change, pretty much. She was like, I'm not gonna let you go over 39 weeks. And then she was like, I need you to at this point come back like a week later to see if he was growing, you know, still growing, or if his weight was declining. So anyways, I ended up going to my high-risk doctor. She's like, yeah, you got to get induced sooner. Again, not going over 39 weeks. I went back to my OB's office, and I told them what pretty much was going on, even though they had the notes. But you know, you're a new mom, or you're a mom, period. You just go to want to handle some stuff. So I'm like, yeah, this is what's going on. They're like, okay, yeah, we see in the notes. Let's get your induction scheduled for 39 weeks. So I'm like, okay, fine. Again, I wasn't saying fine like irritated, simply because I was only simply irritated because I see all the bad induction stories, and I was getting nervous. Okay. So they did go ahead and set my induction. They said they were going to do it either for August 26th or 27th. They ended up setting it for the 26th. So fast forward to around, let's say fast forward to the 25th. The night of the 25th, I was experiencing like a lot more cramping than I normally do. And then I felt like some of my mucus plug came out, but not everything. And then also during that night going into the 26th, I felt really nauseous, and I just did not feel good. And then when I woke up around 6 o'clock on the 26th, and I noticed that my mucus plug had came out. So I was like, oh, okay. Remind you, I have not gotten a cervix check yet, so I don't know. I did not know like how far dilated I was, but my mucus plug ended up coming out. I did call my hospital, and then they contacted my doctor, and she was like, pretty much come in. My induction was set for 9 a.m. and I live in Atlanta, so it was gonna take me until 9 a.m. to get there anyway. So we showed up at 9 a.m. me and my mom. I filled out the paperwork, and they pretty much like got me into a room pretty quickly. I changed into like the gown and things. I had my notes because I did not want to forget anything. So yeah, I changed into my gown, and then the nurse came in. She kind of explained what was going to happen. That was probably around like 9:45, 10 o'clock. And then she ended up doing a cervix check and placing the IV as well, because I was gonna have to have an IV regardless. They wanted to get liquids going, and then for potential Pitocin, things like that. So when she checked my cervix, I was dilated. It's 1.5 dilated, which I was like, okay, cool. But you know, some people be 1.5 dilated for weeks. So I was like, that, I mean, my mucus plug did come out, so, but still, your mucus plug can come out and then come back. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So I was 1.5 centimeters dilated. So at that time, she was going to go to contact my doctor. My doctor was there, but talk to my doctor to see what induction method she wanted me to go with. Now, based off of my seeing these horrible induction stories and things, I personally did not want the Foley balloon. I did not. I was just a little nervous about that, but that's what I ended up getting, the Foley balloon. I ended up getting the Foley balloon, and it was funny because I told my nurse, like, I don't really want the Foley balloon, like, I do not want that. And she's like, oh, okay, like, you know, whatever. And then literally around 10:30, she comes in with the Foley balloon. I'm like, that's what she wants me to get. She was like, she kind of like chuckled. She was like, yeah, you know, the Foley balloon. And then my doctor came in right after her and was like, hey, like, what's up? Welcome, you're gonna get the Foley balloon. So I'm like, okay. So with the Foley balloon, they sometimes have people get like some type of pain management medication when they insert the Foley balloon, because it can be a little uncomfortable. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have a higher pain tolerance. I did not get any medication when they inserted the Foley balloon. It kind of just felt like a little bit of cramping. It wasn't like, to me, it wasn't anything crazy. So I got my doctor inserted the Foley balloon, and then let me see, and they put me on low dose Pitocin. So they started me with a 2. I believe Pitocin can go all the way up to like 30 or something. Baby, I never got past 8, okay? So they started me with a 2, and I wasn't really feeling like anything. They did do the Foley balloon to an 80. I don't know if these numbers mean anything to you guys, but yeah. So I was on low dose Pitocin, and everything was going, you know, process started with the induction around 11 a.m. I was feeling a little crampy around 1 p.m, like uncomfortable, crampy, I guess. I asked them for like the birthing ball, and then they were like, okay, like they gave me the birthing ball. They were like, you can walk around and move around and things like that. And then I felt like I was still so crampy. I felt like they told me with the Foley balloon that it should fall out around 4 or 6 centimeters dilated. So I was like, okay, cool. It didn't fall out around 1 p.m. when I was feeling crampy, but I was like, oh, maybe it's just, you know, it's revving up. We're getting there. So I did not want to get the epidural right away, just because I know that sometimes slows down like the induction process. So they had fentanyl that they could give me, and another medication, I think, I can't remember, but they gave me fentanyl, and I was feeling nauseous as well, so they gave me medication for that. And that fentanyl, I'm not gonna lie, did not help one bit. It did not help one bit. I felt like I was still feeling all the pain that I was feeling. And during this time, I was really trying to get like some rest, because, you know, like the night before, I was so excited. I feel like I did not sleep good. I didn't sleep good, and then I had to wake up at 6, and then I knew, like, yeah. So I was trying to get some sleep, but the pain, I was still feeling pain. Again, I have a higher pain tolerance, so for me to say that it was like painful, it had to be like somewhat painful. But anyways, so around 3 p.m. that was probably the worst that I felt when it comes to cramping. I was having contractions back to back. I'm telling you, contractions was probably a minute apart. It felt like they were consistent. And I mean, they gave me heating pads, and then I was also having my mom like push on my back. That was not helping me. So I did ask my nurse for the epidural. I asked my nurse for the epidural. I got the epidural around 4 or 4:30. Yeah, around 4 or 4:30. The epidural was amazing. Okay, I felt so good when I got the epidural. So in getting the actual epidural, it did not really necessarily hurt. It was more so like a lot of pressure. Now again, I'm having contractions back to back, so holding still was not an issue, because I knew I needed to hold still, and I knew I really wanted this epidural because of the pain that I was feeling, if that makes sense. So it kind of was like I feel like this whole thing is like a mind thing, like a mental thing. Like, you have to be in the right mindset. Again, I got the epidural though because originally I wanted to wait even longer, but in my mind they told me that the Foley balloon was not going to, oh, I'm sorry, the Foley balloon was supposed to fall out when I was around 4 to 6 centimeters dilated. During that whole time, from when they placed the Foley balloon until I got the epidural, it still did not fall out. And in my mind, I'm like, if the balloon didn't fall out and this is what I'm feeling, this is crazy. So let's back up real fast for like an hour or so. Around 3 p.m. before I got the epidural, I felt like I needed to poop. Now, if you know the signs of active labor, the signs that you're going to go into labor, or that you're in labor and that you're about to deliver, is that you feel like you had to poop. So I actually told the nurse, I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, I was feeling a lot of pressure. I was feeling them contractions was eating me up, okay? So I actually went into the bathroom. Baby, I could not poop. I could not. And so I came out and I told my nurse, I told her like, hey, I couldn't poop, but let's go. Like, I need the epidural. So she was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's probably just the balloon that you're feeling, like, pressure wise, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I said, I got the epidural around 4:30. Amazing. That helped. Obviously, once I got the epidural, I can't get out of bed. They did a shift change or so around 7 p.m. So from 4:30 to 7, I was able to like kind of go to sleep. They did a nurse shift change, and I promise you guys, I had the best nurse when I delivered. He was amazing. And like, I don't even want to say his like name or anything, because I don't know if, you know, some of y'all know what hospital I was at. Anyways, but he was amazing. Literally, I feel like I could not do it without, like, he was so attentive, everything. So when they did the shift change at 7, he's like talking to me. I asked him, I'm like, hey, will I feel the contractions when I'm 10 centimeters dilated, blah blah blah? And he's like, yeah, you probably will feel something. He was like, but we can always give you like more medicine. I'm like, okay, cool. During this time too, my water had broke. My water broke, honestly, probably around, like, it was leaking a little bit around like 2 o'clock or something. And then when they did a shift change, she checked at like 7:30 and was like, oh, your water broke, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I know. I feel wet a little bit, but you know, I can't really feel anything truthfully because of the epidural. But before I got the epidural, I did feel wetness down there. So yeah, so shift change 7 o'clock. He told me I was gonna feel something when I'm 10 centimeters. Foley balloon's still in there. They're coming in and checking it. They're like, oh, it still hasn't fallen out. Again, I got the epidural because I'm like, this is what it feels like, and I'm not even 4 centimeters dilated because the balloon didn't fall out. Are you kidding me? That's what I was thinking in my mind. Yeah, but we'll shortly see why that was wrong. So like I said, feeling contractions, I'm good. 7 p.m. I went back to sleep from like 7 to 9. I'm starting to feel my Pitocin gets up to 8. Oh, sorry, let's go back. So when I got the epidural, they actually had to stop my Pitocin. Before the epidural, they got my Pitocin all the way up to 8. And then they have to stop it when I get the epidural. And then they actually, once I got the epidural, my baby's heart rate slowed down or dropped. My blood pressure dropped as well. So now they're like, okay, what's going on? Sometimes the epidural does make your blood pressure drop and your baby's heart rate kind of drop as well sometimes. So they're just trying to monitor, you know, they're turning me left to right, things like that. And then they finally got my blood pressure good and his heart rate back good as well. So I'm like, okay, cool. So and that was probably, shift change was like at 7. That was before shift change. So when I got the epidural at 4:30, probably from 4:30 until like 5:45, 6 o'clock, they were trying to figure out like my heart rate and my blood pressure and my baby's heart rate and things like that, but they finally got it good. Shift change came, like I said, amazing nurse, love him to death. Yeah. But at 9 p.m. I was feeling a little pain. Okay, so I asked the nurse, I'm telling him, I'm like, the contractions is back, like the pain of the contractions are back. I'm like, I have an epidural, like this is crazy. Not crazy. Now I'm being dramatic, but no, the feeling was a little bit like intense. Again, I have a high pain tolerance, so for me to say something hurts, it was hurting. So I'm like, what? Like he was like, okay, well you can self-administrate it, the epidural medication every 10 minutes. Baby, I'm pressing. I call him, he like leaves out because I gave myself a dose or whatever and I felt okay a little bit. And then I call him in, I'm like, it's not working. And he's like, let me check. Like I said, he was the sweetest guy ever. He's like, let me check to see what's going on. He was like, oh, Celina, it's every 10 minutes, like every 10 minutes. And I'm like, ain't no way. Like at this point, I feel, I'm like something, this pain, this epidural that they gave me a few hours ago ain't the same epidural, because now I'm feeling pain. So he's like, well, we can give you like a nurse dose, or else we'll have to call the guy back in to, you know, administrate a higher amount. He was like, we can give you a nurse dose. He was like, so let me just like put that in or whatever. Around that time, it was probably about 10 p.m. So from 9 to 10, I was pushing the doses stuff by myself. And then he was like, I'm gonna get your doctor as well to see what's going on. So I'm like, okay, cool. So around 10 p.m. he comes in, he's like, okay, we're gonna give you the nurse dose. I'm sorry, around 10:30 he comes in. Okay, sorry about that. So around 10:30 he comes in and with my doctor, and at this point I'm really in some pain. Like I felt, it was like an out of body experience kind of. I feel like I was there, but I was like, this is actually painful. And again, I still was feeling the contraction. So my doctor and my nurse comes in at 10:30. My doctor's like, okay, again, my Pitocin only got up to 8. She's like, okay, we're gonna go ahead. The balloon didn't fall out. Like, I know she wanted to say that's weird, but she was like, the balloon didn't fall out, so we're gonna go ahead and take the balloon out and just keep you on Pitocin throughout the night or whatever. And I'm like in pain, so I'm like, okay. The nurse gives me the nurse dose of the epidural, and my doctor is like down there checking my cervix and things like that, and she's like, wait, I don't feel any cervix. Remind you, she came in at 10:30. She's like, I don't feel your cervix. She was like, that's weird. Like, she's talking to the nurse. She's like, I don't feel cervix. She was like, wait, is that hair? She was like, okay. And then like my baby's heart rate, they lose his heart rate. And then all like the charge nurses, other nurses come in. My doctor's also like trying to flip me around and things like that because they lost my baby's heart rate. It like kind of stopped because he was like kind of in distress. So honestly, they were flipping me around and they're like, okay, you're gonna push or whatever. So they put this little mask over me and now I'm pushing. Okay, I'm pushing, and when she took the Foley balloon out, what had happened was it like malfunctioned. It never dropped out clearly, because one, there was no cervix left. I was 10 centimeters dilated, and yeah, so when they took the Foley balloon out, that's what kind of triggered everything. He dropped really quickly, and the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, which is why they lost his heart rate, his heartbeat. And that's when I said all the charge nurses and nurses came in trying to flip me around, get his heartbeat. Okay, you're gonna have to push. I pushed literally 5 times and he's out. They did have to use a little vacuum at first, and my doctor was actually calling for a C-section as I was pushing because she knew it was my first pregnancy, wasn't sure if I was going to actually be able to push him out, and it was an emergency at that point. So I'm pushing because I don't want a C-section. I did not want a C-section. I pushed 5 times, like I said, and he was out. So I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, honestly, I had him, my doctor came in at 10:30. I had him at 10:46. That's how quick everything was. And honestly, even though it kind of seems like it was like a lot, it was actually a pretty smooth induction process and a delivery process. I would do it again. Like, you know, sometimes people are traumatized by their actual induction and birth stories and things like that. I really was not. I'm glad that my baby, you know, he came out healthy. I'm glad that I, you know, was healthy during this process and everything. But yeah, that is my positive induction process story. Other than the fact that I said like the Foley balloon kind of did fail, but it did not lead, like, people think that a negative induction story, I guess, is when you had to get like a C-section or something like, and I'm like, that's still technically positive, like, you know. But I was able to push him out in 5 pushes. My doctor was amazed. Literally, she was like, girl, you did that. Like, okay. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. Comment down below your induction stories. Like, did you guys have positive induction stories? Did you guys have a Foley balloon? Did your Foley balloon fail? I would like to know. Like, I can't be the only one. Even though the Foley balloon failed, I still had a positive induction. I still, you know, I still feel like it worked. There was no cervix. I was 10 centimeters dilated. For some reason, the balloon just did not fall out. I don't know. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on. Bye, friends.